The story of the San Francisco Giants is legendary. In my years as the official voice of the Giants, I've had the privilege to meet countless players and personalities whose passion for this team is only matched by their love for the game. Their stories are intertwined within the fabric of this team's history. They are forever Giants. Brooklyn-born Rich Aurilia spent 14 years playing in the major leagues. The St. John's University standout was drafted by the Texas Rangers in 1992 before being traded to the San Francisco Giants. In the city by the bay, Aurilia left his mark, peaking with an all-star season in 2001. With a .324 batting average, 37 home runs, 97 RBI, and a National League best 206 hits, Rich was one of the best shortstops in the game. Short stints in Seattle, San Diego, and Cincinnati eventually led this forever Giant back home to San Francisco to finish his career, where he is now enshrined on the Giants' Wall of Fame. All right, once again at the beautiful Silver Oak Cellars, and I am joined by a fan favorite, forever Giant, no sleep till Brooklyn. Let's get that out right now. Rich Aurilia, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me today, and thanks to Giants for having me out here to do this with you.
It's so good to see you.
It's good to be seen. It's weird at different phases in our lives now and careers that we can get together and go over some old times.
Old times, yeah. We had a lot of good times together back then.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go back to the very beginning, though. Let's go back to growing up in Brooklyn. I want to know about your childhood there in Brooklyn and your family and how you got interested in sports.
Well, I was the only child for 12 years. I have a younger brother, 12 years younger than me. But I was like any other kid in Brooklyn growing up. You were either a Met fan or a Yankee fan, and if you were one or the other, you hated the other one.
And you were
I was a Met fan.
There you go.
I didn't have much to root for until around 1984, 85.
Right.
But I can't even remember how I took baseball up. All I remember is like playing on my block, throwing a ball off the stoop, the front stoop, like a rubber ball with a glove.
That's so Brooklyn.
That's what I remember.
Yes.
I remember I actually remember like playing stickball. Like you hear Willie talk about, Mays talk about stickball in New York when he was playing there. I remember playing stickball from sewer cap to sewer cap. And, just the upbringing there, and at that point, I think baseball was still like number one. That's what kids wanted to play.
Yeah.
So to have the ability to play in a big city, to play with a diverse group of individuals and cultures. I mean, we played against, Dominican kids, Puerto Rican kids, like kids that like came over from the islands to move to New York. Mm-hmm. It was a great opportunity for me. So growing up there, it's what I bled every night was baseball, and that's what I wanted to do my whole life.
At what age, or can you remember when it really finally clicked in and you were like, oh, I'm skilled at this. This is something I want to do?
I think in high school, I think it kind of clicked that I was a pretty good player. Uh-huh. But to the point of like, when did I think I could actually like do this as a career? I don't think it was until after my freshman year of college.
Really?
Played really well, got a lot of attention, played some great summer ball for 2 years. I played 1 year in Alaska in the summer league, and then the next year in Cape Cod. And that's when it kind of hit me. And then I got to my junior year in college, and I wasn't a high draft pick. I was a pretty good student in school, so I said, I'll always have the opportunity to go back to school and finish 1 year, 27 to 30 credit hours, whatever I had left. I'm going to take a chance. And I took a chance. So I took my $5,000 check and my plane ticket to Butte, Montana, and took off, and that was the start of something special.
That was the beginning of your journey,
yeah.
So let's get you to the major leagues, drafted by Texas, right,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
in 1992. So tell me about your journey from Texas to then signing with the Giants.
So I got drafted, I think it was like 24th round by Texas in 1992, I think. And I played in the Texas minor league system for a couple years and had some good years, but I had one bad year, and that was 1994. I was in Double-A Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I just did not have a good first half. But I got to the halfway point of the season, and I just said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to have the year that I wanted. It's pretty much evident. Just look at the numbers. So I'm just going to kind of not care and have fun. I'm just going to go out and have fun. I'm going to not try and care as much. Just go have fun. And I ended up having a really, really good second half of that season. And the reason I ended up with the Giants was it was 1994, and the players' strike hit in August.
Oh, my gosh, that's right.
And when the players' strike hit, teams just shut down, but the minor league system kept going on. So I was playing in Tulsa, which was the Rangers Double-A team. The Giants Double-A team was in Shreveport, and they were one of the best minor league teams in the minor leagues that whole year. They were really good. So we were going in to play them for like a 5-game series. And I remember getting there, and the Giants sent all their coaches, because there was nothing for them to do, down to watch their Double-A team, which had all their best prospects. So it was Dusty Baker was there, and Wendell Kim, and Bob Lillis, and Dick Pohl, and all these guys were there watching. In that horrible year of 1994 that I had as a player, I had an unbelievable 5-game stretch where they could not get me out. I played great defense, and so the season ends. Not happy with the whole season, so we go in the off season. Strike is still going on. I go back east to home to stay with mom and dad, and I get a call. I think it was like December 23rd. It was right before Christmas. The Rangers did not put me on the 40-man roster that year. That was my first year I could have been put on in November. And I get a call, and they just changed hierarchy with the Rangers. So the GM was gone, so it was all new people. And I had a message left at my parents' house from their player development guy saying, hey, Rich, it's so-and-so, and just want to let you know you've been traded to the Giants, so good luck to you.
All right, so 1995, you are a San Francisco Giant. Your manager is the great Dusty Baker.
Yeah. This is no slight to anybody I've ever played for, because I've liked all my managers.
Sure.
But Dusty, for me, was my best manager that I played for. I love Boch. I played for Boch in San Diego and in San Francisco.
Right.
But Dusty always seemed to have like that personal feel with his players. I remember the first time I ever talked to Dusty, it was right after the trade to come over there.
Okay.
And he called me. And he said, hey, is Richie there? And I said, yeah, this is Richie. He goes, hey, Richie, it's Dusty. I'm like, hey, Dusty, how you doing? And then he just started speaking Spanish to me. like sentence after sentence. And I was like, hey, Dusty. I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. And he goes, what? He goes, you don't speak Spanish? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you just played winter ball for my buddy Davey Lopes down in the Arizona Fall League. And he said you're a Puerto Rican kid from Brooklyn or from the Bronx. He said the Bronx. And I'm like, no, I'm an Italian kid from Brooklyn. He goes, oh, okay, man, all right. He goes, I thought it was Aurelio. And I'm like, no, it's Aurelia. So that's how Dusty and I got off, our relationship.
Was Davey goofing on him?
No, I think Davey just thought I was... But Davey knew I spoke English. I played for Davey for 2 months.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But a personal story was there was one off season where my house got robbed. My house got broken into.
Oh my gosh.
And
where were you living at the time?
Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Okay. And I mean, everything was gone.
Oh my God.
I mean, bed sheets and whatever. And word must have got to Dusty somehow. I don't know how. But about a week later, 8 boxes showed up at my house with pillows and sheets and kitchen stuff and small appliances and whatever. And he had a note in there, and he's like, yeah, I heard what happened. I know you're a rookie or young early in your career, and I just want to help you out. Dusty, Dusty's like, yeah, I know people. Right. I got to get people to help you out. So
and he does.
That really struck a chord with me. This guy doesn't owe me anything. And he really made an impact in my life at this particular point, because everything I had was gone. That's my first real memory of Bake, as a person, not my manager, but as a person. And listen, you always get player manager, you're not going to get along 100% of the time. We had our conversations that didn't go the way we wanted to, or whatever. But, you know, to this day, I still consider him a friend and somebody I could call on if I need something.
Class act. That
Absolutely,
guy.
absolutely.
Well, 2001 for you, phenomenal. Let me break it down, if I may. National League best, 206 hits. You finished the year with a .334 batting average, 37 home runs, a career best for you, 97 RBI, a Silver Slugger Award. How and why were you so dialed in? What do you attribute that to?
Okay, I'll give you the funny story.
Oh, that's what we want.
In spring training, Dusty came up to me and he said, hey, I think I'm going to move you in the lineup. And I said, okay, where are you going to put me? Because I was always hitting seventh in the back end. And I had pretty good success there. And I was like, okay, where do you want to move me? And he goes, I want to put you hitting second. And I'm like, second? I'm like, Bake, you've seen me run. I don't run very well. I don't move very well. He goes, yeah, but you can handle the bat well and you can hit a fastball. And he goes, you're going to be hitting in front of Barry. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, don't change anything. Just do it in spring training and we'll see how it goes and we'll take it from there. And I'm like, all right, don't change anything so I don't have to hit behind a runner or what. Just do what you do, Richie. Just do what you do. And so we get through spring with season starts and I'm hitting in front of Barry. And, you know, I get off to a great start. And then things just kind of like snowballed from there. It was like one of those years where nothing was injured, nothing hurt. I don't know if I went more than a game without a hit. It was just one of those magical years. The idea of it was, and I was always asked, like, why that year? Like, what was it? Were you getting all these fastballs because Barry was hitting behind you?
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't getting all fastballs, but I was getting better pitches to hit, and my zone was better. I was kind of like tunnel visioning my zone a little bit. And I said, if you look at the home runs I hit, I said, I guarantee you half of them were off like hanging breaking balls that like they wanted to get me out.
Right.
So that I wasn't on base when he came up. And it just worked for me where like I would sit on certain pitches at certain counts and look for certain pitches. And it was just, of course a lot of it had to do with hitting in front of Barry. But as far as like mechanically or anything like that, I couldn't really put it together, like why, it just happened.
So Rich, there was a lot going on for the team, for Barry, a lot of distractions, a lot of media attention. Talk to me about watching him from that vantage point, from that aspect of it.
You know what? It was awesome to watch the sports side of it, like firsthand from the dugout, like to watch him break that record and chase the record. But the other side of it was like the stressful part of it, where, you know, the media wanted him all the time, and it got to a point where he would just talk to the media on the road one day when we got there, and that was it. You know, they wanted to talk to him at home, and, you know, it was, you know, and you know, granted, we all took it upon ourselves to, like, speak for him because it was really stressful. And outside of the sports stuff that was going on, I mean, there was the race side of it. There was the security side of it. I mean, I know as a teammate, that chase that year, I think put in place a whole new security system for Major League Baseball with what went on, because we had security there 24/7 at the clubhouse.
There were like death threats and stuff.
Yeah, and at the hotels,
Yeah.
and you know, and you go to the race side of it, and it was like, you know, we don't want this guy breaking the record.
Exactly.
And he was getting threats, and that was stuff that like did not come out until after the fact, because if anybody knows Barry well, he kind of like keeps everything close to the vest, and then you find out more afterwards.
Right.
I always had a really good relationship with Barry. You know, I didn't hear about a lot of that stuff till afterwards. So I give him a lot of credit for what he went through and his family went through.
Yeah, I don't think people really appreciate that.
No, I don't think they do.
The struggle that it was.
I don't think they do.
Yeah. Well, you were a 2001 All-Star, were you not?
Yeah, I was.
It had to be like a dream come true for you.
Oh, it was amazing. And I remember taking the field like I remember taking the field in the first inning, but I also remember the introductions.
Oh.
Because at this point, I think I was leading the National League in hitting. And I was hitting 9th in the lineup. Oh. Because, I mean, the lineup we had was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was the last guy, like, in the dugout, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, where'd everybody go, man? You know, so I'm the last guy to come out.
Last man standing.
Yeah, and I remember taking the field. I had Chipper Jones on my right,
Oh,
and Jeff was
man.
on my left, and all I kept saying to myself was like, please, 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 somebody hit me a ball, like, now.
Right.
Like,
Let
I'm
me
nervous.
do this. Yeah.
My heart's racing. I feel nervous. Somebody hit me a ball, and I got a pop-up, I think, like the third hitter.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay.
Right.
Then I was calm. But as a fan of the game growing up and as a shortstop, to take part in that game where Cal Ripken was the third baseman, and A-Rod made him move over to short, and then he hit that home. I wanted to drop my glove and, like, shake Cal Ripken's hand, like, going around the bases. It was amazing. And then to do the ceremony, like, at the end of the fifth inning for him and Tony Gwynn, that was kind of nice. And then the one moment I never forget is when Tommy Lasorda went out to coach third, and Vladimir Guerrero broke his bat, and it went, and it kind of knocked Tommy down. And so it was a fun All-Star game. We didn't win, but it was a fun event to be part of.
So let's go to your last game as a Giant, which was October 1st, 2009 against the Diamondbacks. And I know you'll never forget this because I won't forget the standing ovation that you got that day.
Yeah, it was, you know, the lead up to that was, it was a rough year because I didn't play a lot. And I knew it was going to be, whether I played another year or wherever, it wasn't going to be for the Giants. I knew that.
Right.
So we get to the end of the year, and Boch is like, I came in that day, it was the last home game, and he goes, hey, do you want to play today against Dan Herron's pitching? I'm like, absolutely I want to play. Why wouldn't I want to play? He goes, well, I figured, you know, this is your last game here, and, you know, talk to Brian and Bobby, and we'd like you to go out, like, in the right way. So I said, yeah, absolutely, I want to play. So I started the game and played first base, and I think I had an RBI. I hit a ground ball to drive somebody in. And then my last at-bat, I hit like a sinking liner to center field. And I was like, this would be great if I end my career with a hit, you know?
Yeah.
And whoever's playing center field for them, like, came in and, like, shoestring caught it, and I was like, damn, and they were booing him. And it was Chris Young. And I saw Chris Young, like, a couple of years later. We played golf in Arizona. And he's like, man, why were they booing me? And I'm like, because that was my last game there. He goes, oh, man. He goes, if I knew that, I would have let it fall in. I'm like, well, how are you supposed to know that? But so I came back to the dugout after that at-bat, and Ron Wotus, who, I mean, one of my favorites, he was my AA manager in Shreveport. He's like, hey, Boch wants to know, do you want to come out now, or do you want to take the field and we'll pull you off before the inning starts? Because coincidentally, that same day, Randy Johnson came in to pitch his last inning in that ninth inning out of the bullpen. So they're like, we got to make a pitching move anyway.
Right.
So why don't you go out, throw the ball around the field? So, like, they had this whole thing planned because, like, I think if I'm remembering correctly, they were playing something on the board, the whole time between innings.
Yeah.
And I remember I wore sunglasses out into the field because I knew I was going to, like, lose it. So I went out, threw the ball around, and then Boch came out, and I knew I was coming out of the game. And I went to the mound, and, like, I think Travis Ishikawa came in for me. And he gave me a hug, and then Pablo was out there, and he gave me a hug. And then I remember just walking back, and just the fans. I mean, 40,000 people just standing. I mean, it was very emotional. And to go in the dugout and see your teammates, and then they're pushing you back out up the stairs and stuff. It was really, you know, it's one of those things you dream about, like how your career's. And at that point, I didn't know my career was going to end.
Right.
But I knew my Giants career was over, which is, I mean, why I played baseball, to be a Giant, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a great memory. And then I remember we were in San Diego the last day of the season, And we went extra innings, and Boch was like, hey, I know I told you the other day was like the last game, but I think I need you to pinch hit in the 12th inning right here. I'm like, all right, whatever, man.
Oh.
But I remember that game, I flew out to center, and I remember the game was over. And I went into the clubhouse, and the whole team, nobody got undressed or nothing. They waited for me to come in there. And I think Randy Wynn gave a speech, and they gave me a gift. And yeah, so it was a very fitting ending to my career as a baseball player, but more importantly as a Giant.
As a Giant.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a complete full circle moment, and it ended
Totally.
with a beautiful bow.
Totally.
Tied
And
up
to
for
be
you.
around guys that I'm still best friends with today, that were there in that clubhouse, means the world to me.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And by the way, we enjoy you on NBC Sports Bay Area.
Thanks.
Do you like that?
Yeah, it's an outlet for me where I still love the game so much. Even though I think I could be a good coach or on that level, I enjoy the broadcasting side because it gives you a platform to still watch the game, talk about the game, and keep your mind into it. And especially nowadays with all these analytics that are going on, the game's changing so much. So to be able to work on the network with Randy Wynn,
Your boy,
who's again one of my best friends, and Flan. Me and Flan, I mean, I'll tell you what, we have so much fun doing those games. And with all of Flan's kind of like quirky little skits he does. And I mean, we just laugh kind of the whole time we're on there, which is fun. And that's what it should be. It should be fun.
Yeah.
And again, blessed for that opportunity to be able to slide right into that right after my playing days were over.
Yeah.
So I owe a lot to NBC for having me on board.
So you can still be involved in the game in a way that still fulfills you.
Yeah, where I don't have to spend 13 hours a day at a ballpark or, travel all over the country. I could do it on my terms and, my schedule, and which allows me the time to go and do wine events too, which is great.
And raise that new baby girl, have time with her. Yeah,
life could be a lot worse right now.
Exactly. Well, here's to life. How about that?
Absolutely.
Thank you Forever Giant, Rich Aurilia.
Cheers.
Thank you so
Renel.
much. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Silver Oak. This is our tradition after every show.
All right,
So once
we're in.
again,
Salud.
thank you so much, my friend.